we understand that, you know, we work online, and that's how we fund our life here in Medellin. We have a business. We cater to U.S. companies predominantly. Joe, I know that you work online. You do marketing as well. What would be your advice, let's say, to someone that is looking to come to Medellin and maybe have the same type of experience that you do? And the reason I'm asking this is because I've read and I've received a lot of messages through my own blog, and I've seen it online where people say, you know, I went to Medellin, but I didn't make any connections. I felt like I was just alone and separated. I'd go to a club and it'd be full of prostitutes. What would be your suggestion for someone that wants to come out here and maybe have a fuller experience?
I mean, honestly, the Gringo Paisa group, you know, it certainly has a lot of drama from time to time, and people are opinionated, and, you know, Medellin is this. Hey, bro, no one's stopping you from leaving. Plugging in and asking some questions and, you know, maybe, you know, meeting someone. And it's funny because I think people are more willing to come and spend time and meet someone new here than they are in the United States or wherever they're from. So to be able to plug in and kind of get to know someone in that manner, you know, I think is a good way to kind of plug into the system in a sense and have a little bit of knowledge ahead of time. And, you know, people out, hey, I'm moving here, you know, and people give advice. You know, I've had great experiences there. You know, met some people that have helped me in a particular project where I needed to put a roof on a home, and I went there and made a post, and I was like, you know, hey man, I'm looking for a, you know, contractor, and Juanca Racines, you know, shout out to him, you know, hey man, I can help you. And, you know, to be able to know someone in another country who's not going to take advantage and actually execute the job. You know, when I did it with him, we jumped on the phone. It obviously, you know, in my particular instance, especially back then, I was far from fluent. Not that I'm fluent now, but, you know, was able to share that experience and be able to trust someone. And when I came here and went to this home that, you know, I put the roof on, I met him and I was like, you know, hey man, now we need to do electricity and we need to do X, Y, and Z. So kind of doing some research, and, you know, people, I kind of look at some people that I know that go away on vacations by themselves, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. But then I look at myself and I'm like, I'm going to Medellin, but I'm not by myself. You know, God bless Max. You know, he certainly introduced me to a lot of people here. But having that, you know, really helps kind of get your feet on the ground and have an idea of where you're going and what's ahead of you, you know. But, you know, kind of, if I want to circle back for a second to, you know, helping out here, the one thing I want people to really realize here, and I appreciate what you guys are doing to make it legit, because I certainly felt weird, and I knew a lot of people that would donate to me would donate and know they know me personally. I'm not going to take their money and go to the bar. Not that the bar's open here, but what you guys are doing here, you know, whatever you decide to call the organization or however you associate yourself with, to be able to provide a legitimate place where people can do a write-off, because some people are like, yeah, I'll send you $1,000 if I can write it off, you know? And God bless those of you who sent me, you know, money from whether it was $20 or $1,000. Joe, thank you. You know, that's a big thing here. So I'm just kind of rambling now. At this point.
Yeah, and circling back, I guess my take from what you were just explaining, as far as like people coming to the country or wanting to come to, whether it's Medellin or Colombia, it's getting into the groups, let's say on social media. Right. And also making connections, because I remember you talked about because you're a very social person. You'll get into a Uber and you'll strike up a conversation with the Uber driver, which is a pretty good tip. If you're out here in Medellin,
talk to people.
Talk to the person that's bringing you down from the airport, whether it's an Uber or one of the local taxi drivers, because you never know who you're going to meet. A lot of the times I've been in a cab, and it'll be someone that literally lived in New York for 10 years in the 90s or whatever. And I'm always floored because their English is perfect. I mean, it's not often that you're going to see those people, but you do. But the only way you're going to know is if you actually strike up the conversation. You tell them that you're excited to be in their city, that you are looking forward to seeing the sights, to meeting the people. And I bet you that, out of 10 taxi rides, you're going to have at least like 5 people invite you over to their house.
Maybe I think that maybe, and sorry to cut, I just because I find it very funny that, and at the beginning, remember I said, my dad always told me, think global, act local. We're talking about Medellin. Here's the thing, people. Again, shout out to my parents, my brothers and sisters. We're all like that. You met my little brother. You meet any of my brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter if it's the bartender, if it's the person downstairs, or whatever, you're going to see us talking to people because that's how we were raised. I think that's a very Caribbean mentality. Although I'm Canadian, I was born in Guyana. And that's how we are. Like, you're very social, very warm. It's a Latino culture. But we can't use that as an excuse in the United States and in Canada right now. The United States is under a lot of pressure. So anybody from the United States living here, or you're in the United States, if you're watching this, just listen. People might look at you when you say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or, "Hey," when you walk into an elevator, raising your hands. The US style is look at your phone and walk in, let the door close, don't say anything, try not to make shit awkward. We don't want this person to think I'm a weirdo if I say hi or if I look at them for more than 2 seconds. Try this out, man. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm the same way I'm in Medellin. I'm everywhere else, man. You'll see me look around. Where the hell is this guy? I'm over here talking to this person because I'm like, why the hell am I here if I don't want to know more about you? I don't sit quietly in a cab and not speak to the person, And I think, like, one of the biggest things that's going to bring us past racial divide, class divide, and everything is really trying to understand the other person's story. And something I tell people about in Latin America, Mexico in particular, anybody who's been or is living in Mexico right now, and it happened to me here in Colombia, is you would see like an elderly person, right? You walk in Central, you walk wherever, and they sit there and they've got this harsh looking face as you're coming. You're like, oh, they're probably thinking this dumb gringo, right? And you have that thing in your head. And try this as an experiment, man. Here, if you're in Medellin, just say hola. And suddenly this woman that looks like she would cut your head off turns into the sweetest grandma. Yeah. Now, trust me on this. I'm telling you, as me, whether my opinion's worth it or not, try it in the United States. Try it till it works. You'll become natural. At first, you feel uncomfortable. But I go to Canada, man. My friends feel the same way. They're like, there's Joel again. He's over there in the corner talking to the ice cream person doing whatever, or the garbage person, or the richest person. It doesn't matter. You got to make the conversations, right? It doesn't take somebody having to get a knee on their goddamn neck and die for you to talk to somebody and understand their perspective. So whether you're here in Medellin, whether you're in the US, you're in Canada, man, talk to your Uber driver. Yeah. Right? Talk to the guy with the turban. Don't be like, he's the fucking guy with the turban, so therefore we don't even live in the same worlds. Yes, you do. Yeah. Right? Have the conversation.
It's funny that you say that, man, because I'm sitting here, it's like I have goosebumps because when I go back to the United States, I try to make Medellin last. Yeah. And normally, I go in, Delhi or wherever it is, going about my routine, when I'm back home, and I'm like, fuck, man, for the first 2-3 weeks, I'm like, hi, I'm talking to the person at the cash register. I'm like, oh, Billy. Hey, Billy, how's your day, man? Yeah. And, in the United States, they're like, whoa, man, like, why are you talking to me? What do you want?
Why you say my name? I mean, I got the name tag, but.
And I go to this one supermarket, and I really practice it there when I'm checking out. And I'm like, the feedback that you get, and the people will kind of like look back at you like, wow, man, that person made a difference in my day. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like you said, getting on an elevator, or, oh my God, if you have the opportunity to drive through New York City or walk through New York City, everyone's a robot looking down on their phone. Nobody's talking to each other. But, the biggest thing the piece of advice that I would give here, and I've met some good people here, whether it was through a Facebook group or in a taxi ride, I had an experience here, and I'll share this one. This will not happen in America. Met this guy. He was my Uber driver back to the airport, and super sweet guy. And, we just kind of hit it off and we were chatting and whatnot. And he said, hey, man, I'm your man. Give me a call next time you come back. I'll pick you up. We don't have to Uber and stuff like that. And okay, no problem. So it was my girl's birthday here. And I'm like, all right, fuck me. If I'm going to call some kind of flower shop or something, I'm like, it's going to be a disaster. I hit up my man and I'm like, hey, this is what I have going on. I'm like, you think you can help me out? Yeah, no problem. When's her birthday? It's Saturday. Okay. I'm going to go to the flower store on Thursday and I'm going to take some pictures of different arrangements and I'll send it to you, and then you can approve. Then one of my guidelines, because I don't know the guy that well, was you pay for it and deliver it, and then I will Western Union you the money and take care of you. This is the best fucking customer service I ever had in my life. It's Thursday morning. This guy's blowing up my phone, and he's like, are you going to be around at this time? Because I'm going to go to the floral shop and stuff like that. He goes there. He's firing off 5-6 pictures, of different arrangements. I'm like, yeah, this one's good. What do you want it to say in the card? And I'm like, is this really fucking happening?
Yeah. What's this guy trying to pull right
this
now?
wouldn't happen at proflowers.com or wherever, your flower shops are in the United States. So he goes through the motions. I pick one, I go through the whole thing and I'm like, all right, you can deliver it on Saturday by like 10 a.m. or whatever. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So he goes, but I don't want to pick one up today because I want to go Saturday morning so it's fresh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking, am I on candid camera? So the guy goes through the motions, brings the flowers there on Saturday, drops them off, takes pictures of her with the flowers, and then he's blowing up my phone. Not for
payment.
Pay me. Hey, man, I dropped off the flowers. Did she like them? Did I do a good job? Are you happy? And again, I'm with a buddy of mine at the time, and I'm like, and he's like, what? Because I'm like, a little flush. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing's wrong, man. I go, right now, I'm going through the most amazing customer service I've ever had in my entire life from a random stranger I met in an Uber that I just happened to strike up a conversation with, who is now going way out of his way without knowing whether I'm actually going to pay him or not. He believes, that I'm going to take care of him, and we have obviously a good energy towards each other. And I go and I'm like, when I'm done, I send him, and I'm thinking, I sent him an extra 50,000 pesos, and I'm like, is this enough of a tip? Here, that's a huge tip. But again, that experience didn't happen if I just fucking sat in the back of the Uber and didn't say a word.
Played on your phone.
Instead, I could call that guy right now and he would run over here and pick me up in a heartbeat. Yeah. Just because, again, man, the people here, it's just different. And it's a different
you made
vibe.
a difference in his life and he made a difference in your life.
Right.
You both added extreme value at that particular point. That 50,000 tip, he will never. I remember the one time I was tipped when I was a guide, $300. I tell the story all the time.
Right.
I got tipped $300 by one of 12 passengers in the people that I took into the tour in the jungle, and it was very impactful for me.
Yeah.
So I am that guy in that particular situation. So yeah, and actually, one of the what I want to talk about is really quickly is connection. And when I say connection, is connection with a place and a connection with people, because my friend Tim, who he wasn't born in Guyana, and I was born in Guyana, but he's been doing business there. He's been, his parents are from there, but he's gotten a really strong connection. He called me up last night or the night before, and he said, "Hey man, we're at the age right now where we got to do something good for Guyana." And Guyana is where I was born, and I will definitely do things for Guyana and in Guyana. But I said, man, let me be honest with you, man. I was like, I haven't been to Guyana since 2007, and I wanted to go there, but my trip got canceled. So as much as I'd love to do things there, and I really want to do things there, I don't know really, really where my heart wants to give and what I want to do. And he goes, yeah, I get it. It's like you're in Colombia. I'm like, yeah, just in case you forget I've been here for nearly 10 years. So my heart is here. So all I'm saying is that wherever your heart is in this particular moment, our heart's in Medellin, right? If you're a podcast watcher, listener, whatever, and you want to help, reach out to any of us, reach out to anybody, and we'll let you help Medellin. But we're not saying you have to help Medellin. Don't forget the pictures you're seeing on the screen in this recorded episode. Forget our stories, man. If you don't have a connection with Medellin, we're not asking you, unless you have access to give or to help Medellin. We're talking about what's happening in Medellin. If you're in Chicago, figure out what the hell's happening in Chicago. But open your eyes right now, because everybody in every city, in every town needs help. So connect, please. All we're saying, and the same conversation is about what you do in the elevator, connect with people on a deeper level than just your immediate circle of friends, man, and things begin to change. I'm sure, for me and Andrew, I can at least speak about that, or what we do with our money, with our time, with what it's already started. It's already been put into motion. It's just having conversations and interacting with people that we wouldn't normally do. Connect with whoever is closest to you, man, and get stuff out there.
Get involved. Get involved. You know, make a connection. Be social. Instead of fucking posting on Instagram and Facebook about your opinion about Trump or whatever the hell it is, the next time you're in line at the grocery store, strike up a conversation with someone, or Uber, or whatever it is.
Even if it's on social media. For example, instead of just arguing with someone through comments, why not personal message someone and say, hey, why do you think this way? I've done that with a couple of my friends here that I saw them post something weird through these times that we're going through, whether it was the coronavirus or this whole Floyd tragedy, that I was like, okay, I got to message this person, because I'm wondering if they're just saying this to get attention, or is it that there's some deep-rooted message that they're trying to get out? So, and I've actually learned more about that person, that they weren't trying to be malicious. They just have a different perspective on life. So I think that's amazing. We were talking about connections. We're talking about meeting people. I know you got a Colombian girlfriend. Can you tell us how? Can you elaborate for some of our listeners who are my brother, my dad,
your mom,
and your brother? So
my
that's
brother.
75% male.
My dad watches it. Yeah, my dad watches it when it's been launched, apparently, and he shares it with my aunts, who are very Christian, upstanding women, which he shouldn't be sharing with them.
Well, from a American or a North American male's perspective on your relationship, not your relationship, but how you came about to meet your lovely girlfriend, who we met today. She was awesome.
Just don't say Tinder, though. Don't say Tinder.
No,
how did that come about?
It wasn't Tinder. Honestly, we were in a bar a few years back, and she was next to me dancing and having a good time, and smiled, and
she smiled.
The rest is history, man.
That's the same way I met Andrew. That's how me and Andrew met, man.
We just started talking and built a rapport, and I hear all these horror stories, and if you go into Parque Hieras, which is empty right now, and you can pick up women off of the street and stuff like that, and I hear, this guy got robbed, and, now he's like, fuck Medellin, everyone's an asshole, and I'm like, hey, bro, you went with hookers and drugs, and you got drugged and you got robbed. That's on you, bro. Yeah. In my particular case, we met and we spent some time together, and, I honestly gave her every opportunity in the world. I left my wallet out, the valuables and stuff like that, and if I sent her for something, she'd bring me back the change. And, I was like, wow, this is different. And, friends of mine at home, if they're watching, whose wives are Colombian, are like, Joe, you have to watch out, and they're like trying to what's her Facebook profile? And I'm like, mind your own fucking business. I'm like,
yeah.
She has been amazing with me from day one. And, she asked me one day, why have you, helped me, do X, Y, and Z? And I said, for what I have helped you with, I couldn't pay you millions for what you've helped me with in return. You know, and I was blessed today, and I really wanted to go through the experience with her because she lives in Itagüí in a humble home, and I went there for the first time, you know, and it needed a new roof on the place. Excuse me, through the powers of Facebook, you know, I had somebody trustworthy go in and do that, and I've had amazing experiences with her. And again, for me, I love the culture, I love the people, and if I'm Joe Gringo, especially at 6'4", 270 pounds, people here are afraid of me. You can't fucking go in a mall here and buy size 13 shoes. You will not find many double XL t-shirts around the city.
Car cover underwear.
You know, so to be able to experience Medellin through a local perspective is something that, you know, I've grown, you know, to really know her family and be able to experience culture in a manner that I would never have gotten to experience without her. And certainly if I would have met someone else or whatever, you know, but we really have a great respect for each other in terms of, you know, it's not like, hey, man, let me use this guy because he can buy X, Y, and Z. It's like, you know, certainly some of those things come into perspective of, you know, have I changed her quality of life? Certainly.
Yeah.
But she's changed my whole perspective on life through opening up my eyes with Max and you guys and, you know, the projects that I've been involved with here to go, there is another way of life. And, you know, to each his own. If you go into a bad neighborhood in America looking for drugs or looking for trouble, you'll find it. If you do the same thing here in Medellin, you know, you'll find it here too. But if you go in here with a good attitude and an open mind and you're willing to open up your fucking mouth and talk to people, it's amazing what you'll find in this city because people want to engage. And this is kind of the difference what I say in the United States. In the United States, if you're Spanish or Latino and you talk and you speak, you know, the language poorly, English poorly, they're laughing at you. Here, if you speak poor Spanish, they're mostly laughing with you, not at you. And for that, you know, that's one of the big differences here, you know, whether it's women or the people in general in the city. And, you know, in terms of meeting people, and I know the question was, you know, about my girlfriend, but, you know, sitting on the other side of the room is Juan Carlos, who, you know, I met maybe about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I broke my cell phone here. And, you know, I'm like, oh, my God, let me post in the group and figure out if I can get some advice from someone and figure out how to replace my cell phone without, you know, going home to get it or having something shipped to me or whatever. He messaged me on the side, direct message, and never met the guy in my life. And, you know, he said, hey, man, I got this phone. You know, and he went into detail how great, you know, it was in this great condition. And I said, well, if you can bring it to me, man, that'd go, you know, that'd be the, you know, the most because I can't really get to you. Guy delivered the phone to me. I plugged in my SIM card. My particular phone was shattered in pieces and the phone worked. I didn't ask the guy, hey, I'll pay you $700,000 or whatever the number was. I gave him what he asked for, and he's sitting in the room today with me, and he was out there today with us in the trenches, you know, and God bless him. I was at his house the other night for dinner with his lovely wife and his 3 children, and I consider him a friend. You know, I can trust the guy. I know when I leave, if God forbid I need something, I can call and not go, you know, hey, man, can you go and take care of this for me? He knows that I'll take care of him in the end. You know
Mutual
what I mean?
respect, yeah.
And that, I want to say, again, I don't really have the experience of being a foreigner in America and trying to pull that off, but I could probably confidently say that that's not difficult. It's not going to happen, you know. But, you know, I got here tonight with Juan Carlos and, you know, if you're listening over there, brother, I appreciate you, man. And that is Medellin in a nutshell for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.